Hello and thanks for joining us on News 360. It is live from Madisa, Wikanda in Accra. I am Aisha Yakubu Khalid.
And I am Martin Asiedu Data. Here are the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
With the 9th Parliament expected to convene on the 9th of January 6 to elect a Speaker, President-elect John Dramani Mahama directs NDC leadership to nominate Bagbin as Speaker.
And also coming up, Electoral Commission holds the collation in Ablekuma North amid dispute. Details as 3 disputed constituencies of Kaikwe Central, Tema Central and Techiman South are again declared for the New Patriotic Party.
And victims of the Kantamanto Market fire disaster appeal for more support to enable them return to business.
On the international front, rebel forces backed by Rwanda have captured the town of Masisi in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. You have details of all these stories and more. Be part of the show. Let's hear what you think of the stories we have for you tonight.
Let's settle for the details now. And President-elect John Dramani Mahama has mandated the parliamentary leadership of the NDC to nominate the Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin as Speaker of the 9th Parliament of Ghana's 4th Republic. The directive, according to a press release signed by Mahama's special aide, Felix Kwachiofosu, follows consultation with the NDC's national executive and parliamentary leadership.
Controversy had loomed large over who takes over the reins of speakership for the 9th Parliament after Majority Leader Alexander Penyomakin had hinted of plans to change Bagbin as Speaker. Names including Edward Dua Jao had come up for possible nomination, but all that will go up in smoke, with President-elect John Mahama tasking NDC MPs to nominate the veteran parliamentarian for the role. According to John Mahama, Bagbin's distinguished career in public service, including his roles as Member of Parliament for Nadoli, Minority Leader, Majority Leader and Speaker of the 8th Parliament, makes him fit for the role. Mahama also expressed confidence that Bagbin's extensive experience would be critical in steering parliamentary affairs. The former Member of Parliament for Nadoli Kalio, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, was elected Speaker of the 8th Parliament after winning the election held on January 7 with 138 votes. He beat his only contender, Professor Aaron Michael Kwe, who polled 136 votes. Until his victory, Bagbin was the 2nd Deputy Speaker in the 7th Parliament. The election that saw Bagbin becoming Speaker was not without controversy. Several alarming incidents characterized the night, including a ballot snatching incident and the invasion of the military personnel into the parliamentary chamber. His tenure as Speaker of the 8th Parliament has seen some remarkable achievements, including the passage of a number of private members' bills and the drafting of new standing orders for Parliament. The 8th Parliament, under his leadership, has also seen reforms that modernize its procedures, streamline debates, and enhance legislative oversight, making the House more efficient and responsive to the needs of citizens.
But meanwhile, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has expressed his profound gratitude to the President-elect John Dramani Mahama for the honour and trust he and the national executives and the parliamentary leadership of the NDC have placed in him and nominating him to be elected as the Speaker of the 9th Parliament. A statement from the Speaker reads, and I'm quoting, he says, "I am deeply humbled by His Excellency's confidence in my ability to lead the august House as we begin a new chapter in our nation's democratic journey. Throughout my years of service to Parliament and the people of Ghana, I have always remained loyal to Ghana and committed to the principles of justice, fairness and respect for the rule of law. As Speaker of the 9th Parliament, I will continue to uphold these values and ensure that the 9th Parliament operates with the highest standards of integrity, transparency, accountability, and inclusiveness. I would like to take this opportunity to assure the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the people of Ghana that I will more than before rededicate myself fully to the task ahead of the country, working to strengthen our democratic institutions and to ensure that Parliament remains an effective and responsive institution to the needs and hopes of the people. Once again, I thank President-elect, the National Executives and the NDC parliamentary leadership for the singular honor to have a second term as Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana, unquote. So those are the words of Speaker Bagbin, who is likely to be the next Speaker of the 9th Parliament, which should be sworn in about 48 hours. So let's again take a proper profile of the current Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. Who exactly is he? What are the credentials he holds dear to himself? So he was born on the 24th of September 1957, just around the time Ghana gained independence. He's been Member of Parliament for Nadoli Kaleo in the Upper West region in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th Parliament. So after being an MP for all these terms, in fact, he was MP in the 1st Parliament and stayed right through up until the 7th Parliament and decided not to stand as MP again. And when the 8th Parliament was just about to be sworn in, he was the Speaker of the 8th Parliament and from all indications will become the Speaker of the 9th Parliament. So throughout the existence of Ghana's Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin has been the main man in the driving seat, has played varied roles, including being 2nd Deputy Speaker of Parliament from January 2017 to January 2021. He was Minister for Health from January 2012 until February 2013. That was when John Mahama was president. He contested to be presidential candidate of the NDC in 2019. And then later, when the party, so go back to 2009, when NDC had majority in Parliament, he was majority leader in 2009. He also served as the Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing in 2010. Talking about his educational background, he attended the Wa Secondary School and Tamale Secondary School, obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in Law, English at the University of Ghana in 1980. He proceeded to the Ghana School of Law and was called to the bar in 1982. Very beautiful credentials, if you ask me, and clearly seems to have been very devout to the processes and proceedings of Parliament. Let's speak to someone who's also focused his lenses on parliamentary activities over the last few years and find out from him what he makes of Alban Bagbin's last 4 years, I should say, as the Speaker of the 8th Parliament, and now that he's been projected to be leader of the 9th Parliament, what should the expectations be? Dr. Rashid Draman is the Executive Director, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Doc, good evening. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for joining us on TV3.
Good evening, Martin. Happy New Year to you and your viewers.
Right. What are your preliminary comments on this news coming from the offices of the President-elect that, having studied what Alban Bagbin has done over the years, they believe he will be the right man for the 9th Parliament?
Well, I think is to be expected. I believe if you put the Right Honorable Speaker Bagbin in the league of all the speakers that we've had in the 4th Republic, I think he has discharged himself creditably, and he has also managed the most difficult parliament that we have had in the 4th Republic very, very well. And apart from that, I think he has also done a lot of reforms that have been difficult for many speakers in the 4th Republic. So if you put all that together, I believe the news that we all received today is one that, for me, I didn't see any other alternative, honestly, if you ask me, under the circumstances. Because maybe if you allow me, if there's time, let me just speak to a few of the issues in terms of some of the reforms that we have seen. I think we've had a conversation, you and I, a few days ago about the 8th Parliament, and I was talking about how, for instance, their rule book, the standing orders, dated the year 2000. Speaker after speaker, we tried. This time around, under the leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker Bagbin, we have the new standing orders, which have sought to reset the relationship between the majority and the minority. No mean achievement. We've also seen, the effort to reset and put into the right perspective the relationship between the legislature and the two other branches of government. This we saw play out, I think, in the dying days of this 8th Parliament. We've also seen, the rise and importance of, the promotion of private members' bills, albeit we've seen some tensions between the executive and Parliament, in that regard. And most importantly, we've also seen a lot of administrative reforms in Parliament. Today, if you take your microphone into Parliament and speak to those in the administration, thanks to the work that he did with the clerk and his people, I think we now have a number of new department units created, and spaces have been provided for mobility within the parliamentary administration and so on, all under his leadership.
I'm sure that the credentials, that some of the ones you've just mentioned are out there for all of us to hear. But I think one of the key issues people were unsure about, uncertain about when this 8th Parliament was about to start was how was he going to manage a hung parliament, which was the first in our history. What would your assessment be of his management of this very tricky hung parliament?
Yeah, Martin, it was, I think, indeed very, very tricky. And I can tell you there were moments when a lot of efforts were made, of course, thanks to his acceptance and agreement to make sure that this hung parliament really doesn't live to maybe what many predicted, that it was going to be chaotic and so on. There were moments when, a lot of negotiations and dialogue and compromises had to be made. And I can cite a few where, under his leadership, the entire leadership of Parliament was taken out, and some of us were involved in this effort. And you, the media, were cut off completely. You didn't know what was going on, just to make sure that, the leaders of the House at least got to work together and ensure the smooth running of the very difficult and unique parliament that we've had in the 4th Republic. Perhaps maybe a different speaker would have done things differently, and I don't know what the outcome would have been. We've also seen a situation where different times, the two caucuses have called him names. The NDC at certain times will say, he's in bed with the MPP, and we've seen the MPP call him out many, many times. That is a mark of someone who at least has handled a very difficult situation in such a way that, you couldn't pin him down to maybe one particular group, even though he came from the NDC stock, and everybody expected that he was going to be at all times maybe on the side of the NDC, but that was not to be the case. So I think if you put all this together, perhaps also the relationships that he developed over the years, having been the longest serving member of Parliament, did help, because he had some personal relationships with a number of the MPs from both sides. including, of course, I mean, his very good friendship with the former majority leader, Honorable Osei Mensa Bonsu, and many others. All those helped to make him, the right person for the most difficult parliament that we've had. And also, Martin, most importantly, he's been the speaker who has been able to stand up to both the executive and the judiciary.
Yeah.
I think most of us, were pleased with that, not because of the fact that there was disagreement or a fight, but because at the end of the day, we wanted a parliament that was independent, and I think he led that effort.
Absolutely. We are grateful for your time, Dr. Rashid Draman. Certainly in the coming days, as the 8th Parliament is about to be dissolved and the 9th Parliament to be sworn in, we'll definitely be engaging you for some more expert thoughts on parliamentary democracy in Ghana. Dr. Rashid Draman, Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Thank you.
Right, Martin. Moving on to another topical issue this evening, the Electoral Commission has suspended the collation of results in the Ablekuma North constituency following an impasse over disputed polling station results. The returning officer assured that a decision on the way forward will be made within 24 hours as tension between the NPP and NDC remain high.
Following the High Court ruling, a recount exercise was conducted without the presence of NDC representatives. At the end of the process, Charles Forsing of the NPP was declared the winner of the Tema Central constituency.
I, Francis Chum, Deputy Returning Officer, Tema Central, declare Mr. Charles Forsing MP-elect for Tema Central. Thank you.
At the long last, the battle is ended. We are ready to work.
Patrick Yabuama, also of the NPP, emerged as the Member of Parliament-elect for Kaikwe Central.
We had to follow due process, and we always believed that the numbers were not going to change. But we thank God that we've had a peaceful collation exercise and a peaceful declaration.
In Techiman South, Martin Ajay Mensah Kosa, the NPP candidate, also retained his parliamentary seat.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
For this opportunity, and same to the good people of Techiman South.
Meanwhile, the collation of results from 62 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency took center stage. The process was mired in controversy as NDC party agents openly expressed their frustrations, rejecting almost all documents submitted by the NPP.
They stand there, and Dr. Sewua is saying we should allow NPP to produce their soft copy or scanned copy for collation. Where has this happened before? That all this while they've maintained they do not have a single pink sheet. How come this today they have all the 281?
The situation escalated when the EC put the exercise on hold due to dispute over a result from 20 polling stations. Officials indicated they needed time to consult on the next steps. NDC Deputy Director of Elections Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer accused the EC of engaging in illegalities, citing an injunction application that had been filed against the ongoing collation.
Whatever they are doing is completely illegal. This Electoral Commission is becoming one of the most lawless institutions we have in Ghana. We are not going to take kindly with what is going on. We are not part of it. We will not respect whatever is coming out from this process because it's an illegal process.
Upon resumption, the Electoral Commission decided to suspend the collation of the remaining 20 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency.
Some of the results are in contention. Some of them, you can see mistakes on the sheets that they brought. So I need to confirm.
If you say you have to authenticate, how are you going to do that?
That is left with me. That one is left with me. I know my work. I know how I'm going to do it. It will not take more than 24 hours.
Despite the incomplete collation, both the NPP and the NDC claimed victory in the constituency, intensifying the already heated political standoff.
Minus the 20, we haven't collated. I won this election with 414. So what I know is that 2 plus 2 in the morning is 4. In the afternoon is 4. In the evening is 4.
Thank you.
Definitely will come back.
Even with these illegal ones they brought, we are still leading them. We are still leading.
What's the difference?
With this, I saw it's a little over 100. I need to be sure on that. You could see they are still not comfortable. I am telling them, if we should have 20 recollations, we will beat them to it.
Well, the elections was in December of 2024. We are in 2025 and the conversations around the outstanding seats still linger. The Director of Legal Affairs for the National Democratic Congress, Godwin Edugitamaklu, says that the party will pursue the legal option to challenge the outcome.
The basis of our rejection is that yesterday, immediately after those rulings, we filed notices of appeal, and not only notices of appeal, we mounted application to stay the execution of those orders. The bailiff went to the Electoral Commission office, even though the office was open with security people. They claimed that there were no officers to receive. We proceeded to the law firm of the lawyers representing the Electoral Commission, and the clerk of that law firm was duly served with the notice of appeal and the application to stay the execution of those orders. It is our belief that whatever the Electoral Commission wanted to do, based on the service of the process on their council, they were going to, as it were, advise them not to proceed. But it appears this morning, the Electoral Commission has decided to defy all the processes that we have filed and to go ahead. We want to put it on record. This is just the beginning of a long-drawn battle. It is in the interest of the Commission to have respected the processes of the courts rather than collude with those MPP candidates to do what appears to be purported redeclarations. The Electoral Commission is not learning. Unfortunately, the intransigence, the stubbornness of the commissioners is amazing. The last time, you hardly proceeded to do this declaration on the basis of a court order. Subsequently, that order was set aside and everything that you have done. So sometimes you want to believe that sobriety will be the lot of these commissioners. But they are so much in haste. They are so much in haste just to please the NPP, against just allowing due process to take its course. I can assure you, and like I pointed out, we are going to fight this matter to its logical conclusion.
As to what the logical conclusion would be, we have about 48 hours to find out, because Parliament will be dissolved and the current MPs-elect would also be sworn in. Let's shift our attention away from parliamentary conversations, but still on politics. The Deputy National Youth Organizer of the National Democratic Congress, Osman Ayariga, has warned that the youth of the party will not tolerate any acts of arrogance from appointees in the incoming administration. He emphasized that the NDC will not accept appointees who are disrespectful or snobbish. The Deputy National Youth Organizer, however, urged those who are fortunate enough to be appointed to various positions to remain humble, committed and focused on serving the interests of Ghanaians. During a mini rally at the El-Wak Stadium in Accra to climax the party's 57% victory walk, Osman Ayariga vowed that arrogant appointees would be removed from office before the appointing authority reshuffle them. Let's find out what exactly he means by removing them from office when they are not the appointing authority, and how the incoming administration intends to deal with persons or appointees they perceive to be arrogant. Mr. Ayariga, good evening and thank you for joining us on TV3.
Good evening to you, my brother, and a happy new year.
Same
I believe this first time I'm greeting you new year.
Yes, many happy returns to all of us. To start with, we saw the walk. You have already started giving strict instructions to the youth of the party and extending that caution to potential appointees of John Dramani Mahama that if they are arrogant. You, the youth, will hound them out of office even before John Dramani Mahama does a reshuffle. What exactly do you mean by that?
Yes, thank you very much and good evening to you. I would first and foremost want to say Happy New Year again to the good people of this country and to thank the Ghanaian citizens for overwhelmingly endorsing John Dramani Mahama and the NDC, especially with its reset agenda and the 24-hour economy policy. Obviously, Ghanaians bought into it and we have a Herculean task to execute. First and foremost, they say that if you are not guided by history, then you do not know where you are going. That is the first point. And the second point is that if your neighbor's beard is on fire, the first thing you have to do is look for water and sit by that water. If you look at events preceding the loss of the MPP, their own members of parliament and former appointees spoke about the fact that the arrogance of power played a crucial role to the MPP losing the general elections. Pierre Kubi, again, said some of Akufo-Addo's ministers were very arrogant, and that obviously led to their loss in such huge numbers and such historical figures. Also, the MPP's own UK Ireland chapter, in the person of Mr. Kingsley Edum Atta Japan, also said that the arrogance of power led to their loss. And if you followed or if you monitored keenly the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration, you realize that not only was the president himself arrogant, but also his various appointees were extremely arrogant and disrespectful to the good people of this country. You quite remember the president telling a chief in the Volta
Osman, what do you describe as arrogant? Osman?
Yes, I'm coming to that. Yes, I'm coming to that.
No, because of time. Can you come to that now?
Remember, yes, you remember Akufo-Addo telling the chief in the Volta region that if he wants to complete the E-block, he should go and complete it himself. I remember Akufo-Addo telling the chiefs of Ekonfi that because they didn't vote for his parliamentary candidate, for that matter, he wasn't going to develop the Ekonfi area. I remember Katie Hammond also telling the youth of this country when we asked for jobs, that yes, so I'm putting a point. You remember Katie Hammond telling the youth of this country that because of our coconut heads are empty. Hello.
Osman, yes. Because of time, I want you to go straight to the point for me. All the examples you are giving, I'm sure many Ghanaians, including you and the NDC youth, have seen that's what you're causing.
Yes, so I'm giving you
go straight to the point for me.
Yes. So we are calling on all people who would be fortunate to be included in His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's administration that want to see the arrogance that was exhibited by the MPP being exhibited in this current administration. We have campaigned through the length and breadth of this country, and people have entrusted us with the management of this country. So the least we can do is to exhibit high level of competence, high level of humility, and high level of respect for the same people that voted for us, because we will not wait till we lose another election and we'll come back and start blaming each other. That's why we are calling on the youth that anywhere we see, hear, or smell people exhibit high level or even little level of arrogance as a public officer, we will hound you out of that office even before His Excellency out. Because anything you do, no matter how competent you are, the element of humility is key so far as public office is concerned. So you can tell us that you have been able to achieve all your goals, but trust me, if you exhibit so much arrogance in your office, you will lose the goodwill that we are currently enjoying in this country. So we are calling on all people who would be fortunate to be included in the next NDC administration that they should exhibit a high level of humility and respect, especially for Ghanaians and for any NDC member or foot soldier who would approach them so far as the political and administration is concerned. So this is a stern warning, and I believe that the rank and file of this party believe that we all must exhibit high level of humility.
Osman Ayariga, Deputy Youth Organizer of the NDC, thank you for speaking to us on News 360.
Away from that, Member of Parliament-elect for Asante Akim North constituency, Ohene Kwame Frimpong, has called on the government to compensate traders of Kantamanto after fire swept through the market, destroying everything. The Member of Parliament-elect made this appeal when he visited the Kantamanto market to commiserate with the traders affected by the fire.
On Thursday, January 2nd, 2025, hundreds of traders were displaced following a devastating fire that ravaged Katamanto Market in the central business district of Accra, leaving nearly the entire market reduced to ashes. The blaze caused widespread destruction, with one person reported dead and several others collapsing from shock and distress. Days after the incident, the traders put themselves together to rebuild the market. This has attracted the attention of many personalities, including the NDC Vice President-elect, the new force presidential candidates for the 2024 polls, Nana Kwame Bediako, and the Member of Parliament-elect for the Asante-Achim North constituency, Ohene Kwame Frimpong, who have shown support for the victims.
It's a very sad situation, but you know, when accidents happen, it doesn't have dates, it doesn't have time. So regardless of the fact that it's just 2 days after the new year, I mean, accidents can happen anytime. It's a passionate appeal I'm making to them that, look, they should make sure that they get the right person involved when they're doing their electrification. When they're leaving their stores, they want to make sure that they've put their lights off. They want to make sure they've not let any electrical appliance on before they go home.
The Member of Parliament-elect for the Asante-Achim North, Ohene Kwame Frimpong, also called on government to set up a committee to probe the cause of the fire. Other members of Parliament-elect also visited the market to commiserate with the traders.
I will do my possible best to also make arguments and contributions, you know, why they should be aided, so that whatever help that is coming, they do not lack. I'm aware that some other groups have already received assistance. They have not received anything. I don't think that that is a fair distribution of national wealth.
The traders, with or without government support, they will continue to rebuild the market to ensure the land is not taken away from them.
Let's now take you to the Ashanti region, where President Akufo-Addo on Saturday, January 4, commissioned a 250-bed Ashanti Regional Hospital at Sewua in the Bosomtwe district. The facility, which was started in 2015 to improve healthcare delivery in the region, was left uncompleted for years. But just 3 days to the handing over to a new government, the hospital has been officially commissioned. Contractors, however, have described the commissioning as illegal, saying the facility is incomplete and had not been handed over to government. Our man on the beat, Ibrahim Abubakar, joins us via Zoom. Ibrahim, good evening to you. I know you have visited the project site and it has already been commissioned, but what's the current state of the hospital?
Well, Aisha, so like they said, it's been completed and all the equipment are inside there. But contractors say it's not 100% complete because they are looking at installing another substation. Now, all along, the challenge has been installing another substation, which they said will have to power the facility. Now, just recently, that power station that substation was installed. But Aisha, from the main road to the hospital, it's not accessible because it's part of what residents are expecting to be part of the project. They believe that when you complete such a facility, at least the road to that facility should be more accessible so that people can easily access that facility. And even when a sick patient is in an ambulance, they can easily go there. That one has not been constructed. So that is the current state of the facility. Now, this is one of the state's Eurojet projects in Ashanti region. We had a 60-bed Tepa hospital, and that has been completed and operational. Then we have 120-bed in Fomena and also Kumewu. That also has been completed and operational. Then we have another in Konongo, which is also operational. Now, Sewua, which is the 250-bed regional hospital, and the 500-bed Afari hospital, as we speak, according to the contractors, it's not fully completed and therefore cannot be operational.
So what is it they wanted it to be done instead of commissioning it this way? What did they want to be done?
Well, they believe that the contractors, in fact, they are shocked with the turn of events because they said that, one, they have not officially handed over the project to the government because the government owes them. And two, the project is not even complete. So they do not understand how come the president went there to commission, because they were not invited and they are not even given permission to anyone to enter that process. Because as we speak, the project is still in their possession since they've not handed over to the government. And now they even released some statement just not long ago, and part of the statement emphasized that the project remains incomplete and has not yet been officially handed over to the government. This means that commissioning it has some legal and contractual breach, and for that matter, they are expecting government to do the needful before then, else they may be forced to take legal action. So as we speak, President Nana Addo has officially commissioned that project, but it cannot be operational until the contractors finalize all these issues and officially hand over the project to the government.
Well, thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that update. We'll come back to you for more on that in subsequent bulletins. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent. He is reporting from Sewua in the Bosomtwe district of the Ashanti region.
Now, the founding member of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, has called to question the security setup for the presentation of President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address, which saw the president's ADC or aide-de-camp collapse during the delivery of the president. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo wants the blame for the security lapse to be put on the doorstep of the National Security Minister, Dr. Albert Kandapa.
And in some civilized countries, a whole set of security men would have been just brushed off immediately. Number one, if you watch carefully, the man started fidgeting for some time. I was watching. Even the papers he was holding nearly fell out of his hand. He couldn't control his sword. So immediately, if there are experts there, they would have realized that he has a problem. And they would have gone quietly to get him out and bring a replacement. That's point number one. Point number two. An ADC who is a full colonel is too big to be an ADC. When Nkrumah was prime minister of this, president of this country, or even prime minister, he said DC was late Lieutenant General Erskine. Erskine was then the captain. A captain is a young, strong man. A young, strong man who can stand for hours without getting tired. You don't bring a whole colonel with medals to come and guard or be an ADC to a president. You don't do that. When Akufo was a head of state, his ADC was a captain. What has changed? That you bring a whole... I can remember, unless my memory serves me wrong, I can remember that we have even had in his era a brigadier general being an ADC. It never happens. A brigadier general is too busy. How on earth do you bring a brigadier general to be an ADC to a president? It's never done. So the man himself standing there is too old for a long standing. Maybe it might be medical conditions, which I suspect that is really the way. Because if you watch, he went down slowly. He could no more stand on his feet.
Right, so that full interview, or, well, what is hot issues, the full one, which usually comes your way Sundays at 2 p.m. We couldn't bring it to you today because of the coverage of the outstanding constituency. So we are promising to bring it to you after Mentor today on TV3. So that's around 10 p.m. You get to catch the full interview with Kemini Amano and Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. So watching News 360, stay with us. We're going for a quick break. We'll be back with more.
the Accra-Tema motorway, but it lacks markings and lacks proper pedestrian and zebra crossings. The National Road 4 and the Liberation Road are no exception to this. The maintenance of road markings on critical roads has been poor.
When the markings appropriated for pedestrians are faded, the pedestrian may not know where to cross, the safest place to cross, and so we can cross at any place, increasing their risks on the road to crashes. And so it makes a lot of the pedestrian knockdowns high in our statistics. Secondly, it creates less visibility for the drivers.
Standard practice requires that these markings are repainted at least every 2 years, but the situation has always been different.
The road markings are supposed to last for about 2 years. And so usually when the road construction is taking place, it is part of the contract. So they do it as part of the road makeup. But over time, over the 24 months period, it fades out.
Pedestrian deaths account for nearly 36% of all road traffic accidents, with road infrastructure contributing 10 to 15% of all road crashes yearly. This is the worry of the National Road Safety Authority, which fears the problem could escalate.
The road infrastructure will contribute about 10 to 15% to our road crashes in the country.
On a yearly basis?
On a yearly basis. And so when one aspect of road safety management is not working well, it goes a long way to affect our work. So we are very much concerned.
At night or when it rains, these road markings are virtually invisible. And it is even deadlier at areas where there are non-functioning street lights, just like here. A raging public concern, one that touches the souls of many Ghanaians. Yes, it needs urgent attention and action.
In a night ride, I realized some roads have reflectors to aid driving, even though the markings were faded. Transport experts and the road safety agree there must be an urgent action.
I hope that a little more political will go a long way to making our roads safer, because most of the crashes are preventable, especially the ones that the roads contribute to.
The dangers are a lot, and we are all road users. It doesn't matter whether you are driving today, or you are walking, or you are riding.
With the markings absent, drivers may miss zebra crossings, switch lanes wrongly, and crash pedestrians. A raging concern for adequate investment towards sustainable road infrastructure across the country. Christian Yali, TV3 News.
Clearly, Christian Yali looks very concerned, doesn't he? And we all need to be concerned, especially because of our safety on the roads. Let's go to the northern part of the country, where the onset of the dry season, which is characterized by the arrival of harmattan winds, signals a period of great hardship for the livestock keepers. For cattle, goat and sheep survival, it becomes a daily struggle, one that depends on the ingenuity and resilience of their keepers. Nadra Mohammed has the rest of the story.
Weather, which lasts from November to March, is marked by intense heat, dust-laden winds, and a dramatic decline in rainfall. Water sources that farmers rely on begin to dwindle, leaving herds without food and water. The dry conditions also result in depletion of grazing fields. This reduces the availability of fresh pasture for cattle, goats, sheep, and other livestock. The harmattan period creates an almost insurmountable challenge for livestock farmers as their animals face the dual threats of hunger and thirst. The intense heat combined with dust-laden winds can result in dehydration, loss of body condition, and even death if not managed properly. The dry season requires extra effort from farmers to ensure the survival of their livestock. For livestock farmers like Isahaku Musa, a cattle owner in Sorogu, the dry season is the hardest time of the year.
During the dry season, we face numerous challenges in providing water and food for our animals. The dam where the cattle drink also serves as a water source for the local community, which often leads to conflict when we bring our animals there. Additionally, I've spent nearly 10,000 cedis on feeding and administering injection to my livestock to help them survive this tough period.
He laments that they lose most of their animals during this period.
Use of weed control and pesticides by farmers during the rainy season has a severe impact on the feed available for animals, often leading to liver disease. For example, last year I woke up to find 20 of my livestock dead after they consumed feed contaminated with chemical residues from nearby farms.
Salifa Bubakar is a veterinary doctor and also a livestock farmer. For him, precautionary measures must be taken by farmers ahead of the dry season.
If you're able to vaccinate them at the due time, you may not able. So when harmattans come at this point, they are easily susceptible to the disease, and that one can cause a lot of death.
He proposed a training regime for farmers on how to convert remains from the farm into healthy animal feed.
Availability of the feed is there, but how to convert it for the animals to feed, that is our main problem. And before we can solve this problem, we are seeking for government to look into that aspect, how we can train young guys to understand how to prepare animal feed.
The production of livestock and other small ruminants contributes significantly to the socio-economic well-being of households in Ghana.
Farmers are being encouraged to plant crops that are resilient to climate change and drought to help mitigate the effects of a changing environment. The director of the Plants Genetic Resources Research Institute, Dr. Daniel Ashikote, noted that this will help mitigate the impact of climate change on farmers' income. Our correspondent Yvonne Nikwe has filed this report.
Climate change continues to undermine farmers' efforts, posing a significant threat to food security. But how are researchers stepping in to fill the gap? At the Plant Genetic Resources Research Institute, under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, plant species are carefully conserved and seeds are stored in a gene bank for future use. Over the years, several tropical crops have been preserved but are largely overlooked by farmers, possibly due to a lack of awareness. One such crop, breadfruit, which holds great potential. The fruit is large, round and green when unripe, with a starchy texture similar to potatoes when cooked. It can be boiled, roasted or fried. Scientists believe it could play a significant role in feeding communities as other vital crops face threats due to rising global temperatures.
A crop that, like breadfruit, has all these attributes. So we say it's an environmentally friendly crop. And in terms of food and nutrition security, it is very nutrient dense and it's also high yielding. Breadfruit is able to extract about 3 metric tons of carbon from the atmosphere, which is very high compared to other crop species. And so all these attributes makes it a very good crop for building climate change resilience and also enhancing food and nutrition security.
There are also rambutan fruits, which offer promising yields for farmers and can create jobs across the value chain.
We come to help them harvest and they pay us. People don't know, but if you tell them what it is, they always come back to buy more.
The Sustainable Development Goal Target 1.5 calls on governments to build resilience in vulnerable communities to reduce exposure and vulnerability to climate-related extremes and other socio-economic shocks by 2030.
Stay with us here on News 360. We have some sports news coming up next.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Let's start off with the Ghana Premier League where Asante Kotoko dropped 2 points away in Takwa against Mediama after taking an early lead through Kwame Opoku. The striker scored his second goal in as many games for the Porcupine Warriors on the stroke of halftime before Mediama defender Kamaradini denied Kotoko maximum points with a close range finish in the second half. Kotoko were looking for their
successive, but had to settle for a point in Takwa. Now, a result which means that Kotoko
and it's a leak. We have mortgage to pay. The second one, we have one mortgage to pay. The first one, we just have to focus on unless we target this quarter.
And so we can now take a look at the results from the Ghana Premier League over the weekend. As mentioned, Kumasi Asante Kotoko currently sit with 28 points, but other results perhaps went their way, as House of Lions, who are top of the league, also were battered by 3-0, and so that means that they are still 2 points away from the top of the table. Other results saw Nations FCB Holy Stars are home by 3-1. Hearts of Oak picking up a crucial 1-0 win against Legon Cities, and then Summertex surprisingly picking a 1-0 away win at Doma. To the English Premier League, where Manchester United demonstrated under new manager Ruben Amorim to end a superb point at Premier League leaders Liverpool's home, that's Anfield. United attempting to avoid 4 straight league defeats for the first time since 1979 took a shock lead when Lisandro Martinez powered a finish high past Alisson after 52 minutes. Liverpool leveled just 7 minutes later when Cody Gakpo scored with a superb angle drive before all of United's good work seemed to have been in vain after Mohamed Salah equaled Thierry Henry's tally of 175 Premier League goals from the penalty spot with 20 minutes left after a handball was awarded against Matthijs de Ligt following a video assistant referee intervention. United were not to be denied, however, and Amad Diallo scored a big goal after his winner at Manchester City when he turned home and Alejandro Garnacho cut back as the game finished 2-2 between the two sides. And so that is how the Premier League weekend ended. You can get more reactions, updates on our social media handles at 3 Sports. GH, that's how we wrap up the sports segment here. My name is Ore Kwampofu.
Let's now bring you some entertainment news.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
In entertainment news this evening, versatile Ghanaian singer Amrado has described 2024 as a magnificent year, emphasizing that being able to churn out 3 hit singles was a big deal for him. The Tin Tone Time composer has been opening up on the other factors that made 2024 special for him.
Kantanka, singer and prolific composer, Amrado is one of the few artists who worked hard in 2024 to get his music heard. Putting out singles like Dit Rush, Tin Tone Time and Abronoma helped to captivate fans and critics alike. Apart from delivering poetic lyrics, the well-loved artist showed off versatility and originality, factors that helped endear his craft to music enthusiasts. To him, 2024 was hugely successful, noting that apart from the hit, it came with many opportunities. Touring America and Europe and locking down a collaboration with dancehall giant Shatta Wale was an icing on the cake for Amrado.
I was very humbled and honored to be part of the few artists that win not a single hit song. And then my highlight of the year last year was when I did a collaboration with Shatta Wale on Blessings, you see. So that song is a miracle. You know, I did Abronoma, Tin Tone Time, Dit Rush. I did a couple of features with Sister Fia and Shatta Wale, as I said earlier. So it was a great year. I toured America, Europe, and then I went to London. I shut down Dominion Center with Amachi Dede. So I'll say all in all, it was a very good year, and we hope to top up this year. Yeah.
Amirado, originally as rapper, also switched style, showing off his singing skills in most of the songs he put out. The versatile artist told 3 Entertainment that singing has won him new fans and will stick to it once it helped to put food on his table.
I'm always trying new stuff. If I'm required to do R&B, I go do. You can't be doing the same thing and be expecting different results. So I'm always evolving. Whatever is going to put food on my table to be able to cater for my mom and my little sister, I'm going to do that. So Amirado is a rapper and nothing has changed, nothing is going to change. But I'm always trying to evolve in as much as I'm evolving. I also know that with our work that we do, it's all about time and growth. So if I fail to grow, that is when I accept to sink.
Let's find out what's happening on the international front.
Rebel forces backed by Rwanda have captured the town of Masisi in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, according to various reports. This is the second town seized by the M23 group in as many days in the mineral-rich North Kivu province. The group has taken control of vast swaths of eastern DR Congo since 2021, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes. The M23, formed as an offshoot of another rebel group, began operating in 2012 ostensibly to protect the Tutsi population in the east of DR Congo, which had long complained of persecution and discrimination. Angola has been attempting to mediate talks between President Félix Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame, but these broke down last month. Syria's new foreign minister met with his Qatari counterpart and Qatar's prime minister in Doha on Sunday, as Syria's new de facto authorities under Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, established diplomatic ties with regional and global government. Foreign Minister Assad al-Shibani posted on X that he is also set to visit Jordan and the United Arab Emirates to develop strategic partnerships and support Syria's security and economic recovery. Al-Shibani met with his Saudi counterpart in Riyadh on Thursday, and he also welcomed the foreign ministers of Germany and France in Damascus on Friday. HTS led a lightning insurgency that ousted President Bashar Assad on December 8th and ended his family's decades-long rule. From 2011 until Assad's downfall, Syria's uprising and civil war killed an estimated 500,000 people.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. But be informed that your Election Command Center, will be bringing you full and comprehensive coverage of the dissolution of the 8th Parliament, the swearing in of the 9th Parliament, and the inauguration of President-elect John Dramani Mahama for the next 3 days. So you do want to stay with us for that level of coverage. My name is Martin Esiedu Date.
And I'm Aisha Yakubu Khalid. Enjoy Mentor 13.
My way insurance. My way for to boost to Misikano. Hey, the Montinho. Now my way so. And I saw him say my way for better on boost to Misika. If you move, boost me. If it is 10, I copy 28. It can so be just come. Kwame, na my way no. I'm not saying boost me. Insurance.